Hi and welcome. This is a new episode of Don't Be a Man About It. I have a remarkable guest, Bryan Reeves, who is known to be the relationship insight ninja who has coached 500, if not more, individuals on relationships. And now he works with couples and individuals to make relationships healthier and more exciting. Bryan, hi.
Hi, Ray. Nice to
Hello.
see you.
Nice to see you too. Good morning to you. And thank you for your
And
time.
good evening to you.
Thank you.
Yes, I we were just speaking about men and more in the mornings, and I tend to fall into the grumpy morning man category a little bit.
I tend to fall into the category of the most hated people in the mornings because I wake
Uh,
up dancing and cheering and yay.
well, I've had 5 years of preparation for this moment because my fiance, soon to be wife, she for 5 years she explodes out of bed when she wakes up in the morning. And so I'm prepared. I'm ready for it, Ray.
Awesome.
All good. Nice to see you.
Awesome. So thank you for being here. Before we dig in,
Yeah.
um, who is Bryan Reeves?
Oh, who is Bryan Reeves? Well, Bryan Reeves, I'll tell you today, Bryan Reeves is in this very day when we were recording this episode. And I know this is not the subject that we're going to dive into, but Bryan Reeves is a man who is deeply concerned about what's happening in his country. It is January 7th, 2021, when we are recording this. And yesterday there was essentially an attempted coup in my country. So, um, and that which has been unfolding for quite some time. And again, I know we don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but I want to be really present to who Bryan Reeves is today. And Bryan Reeves is a man that's a little unsettled, sad, angry, hopeful, um, confident, concerned, caring. Um, yeah, Bryan Reeves in this day, he's a complicated man right now. But ultimately, I always do my best to lead with the optimist, the hopeful man that sees the silver lining in everything that unfolds. But I think, we're going to talk about relationships today, Ray, and even as you asked me that question, it's so easy. It would be so easy for me to just paint a rosy picture for you about who Bryan Reeves is and tell you some, fabricated, not fabricated, but well, everything's ultimately fabricated, but tell you some big story about my past, or my job title, or this or that. And I think in relationship, we men tend to do that a lot. We sort of we want to gloss over the mess, the messy parts, the uncomfortable parts. I know I certainly am always tempted to do that. We want to gloss over that rather than just acknowledge that, you know what, I'm a little scared today. I'm unsettled. I'm hurting. I'm angry. I'm sad. So, before I can kind of move forward into more of a relational conversation, it's like I just want to just sit and acknowledge the messy right now. And I think that's something that we men don't know how to do in relationship, to our detriment and to the detriment of our partners, because this is ultimately where connection happens, is just being with what is. So that's a long answer, and it's one I've never given before.
Thank you for keeping it real. And
Yeah.
I wish I could give you a hug, but I'm sending you all the energy that you need to just be.
Thank you.
So that's weird that I usually start my show with the following question. For some reason, I started it with who is Bryan Reeves? But
Mm.
so how is your heart doing?
How is my heart? That's a great question. My heart is strong. My heart is passionate. My heart is confident. You know, my heart, I have an amazing partner. Her name is 𝐀𝐰𝐴, and she's an incredible woman. And you know, she's helped me so much in the last 5 years that we've been together. So I'm former military. I was in the Air Force in the US. And a lot of that training, military training, like a lot of cultural training, teaches men to disconnect from our emotions, disconnect from our bodies. I mean, it teaches women the same thing, but you know, speaking as a man right now, it teaches us to disconnect from all that. And then somehow we're supposed to do life and enjoy life, disconnected from our bodies, disconnected from what we're feeling. I personally found that impossible to enjoy life fully, richly, thoroughly, with any kind of depth after that kind of training, being trained to not feel anything. And if I can't feel anything, how can I feel my heart? You know, and this is one of the greatest gifts of relationship I'm 46 now, and I got out of the military at 26. And the last 20 years, over a few different relationships with women, have been they've been the greatest gifts to me in that they helped me connect to my heart. And not always in the ways that I would have wanted them to. Ray, there have been some shitstorms in my relational experience, but that's because there's a lot of reasons but you know, I believe in taking full responsibility. I believe relationships they're not a 50-50 proposition. They are a 100-100 proposition.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't believe in 50-50. I believe in 100-100. Yeah. And so, you know, in owning my 100% of my challenges around relationship and why they've been at times so difficult and so just downright excruciating is because of so much of my own incapacity to feel, my inability to connect to my body and feel what I'm feeling, to feel my heart, to stay in my heart versus get lost in my thoughts, in my brain, in my stories, in my judgments and conclusions and all the problem solving I want to do, rather than just the feeling that would serve. So my heart is strong. And yeah, thank you for asking.
Thank you.
How's your heart, Ray?
My heart is grateful.
Yeah.
My heart is grateful. It is strong, but I think my word would be grateful for everyone around me. Wow, no one asked me that actually. But yeah, I am grateful for everyone around me. I have been surrounded with a very strong and empathetic support system, because it gives me strength. And on those days where you feel like that's it, and then someone shows up and serves you when you really need it. So I'm grateful for that. So yeah.
You know, even in your answer and my answer, I'm so wowed by, you know, something that arises immediately for me that again is this thing that arises in relationship a lot. In one of the dynamics I work with is masculine and feminine intimacy. And I'm noticing right now, my answer, my heart is strong. It's such a masculine answer. Strong. I can do it on my own. Like underneath that is I got me. And in your answer, there's this beautiful sort of recognition of the whole. I'm grateful for my connections, for the whole, for everything. I was like, oh yeah, it's such a great reminder to me as well, again, that, okay, great. Yeah. Through gratitude is strength. Whereas in my answer, there's like, through strength is strength.
Yeah.
And it's, so, thank you for your answer. It's just another reminder. That's right. We are strengthened by the connections we focus on and we care for and we honor around us. So
Wow, I'm
thank you.
loving this. I'm loving this. Thank you, Bryan. So, how could, from your personal experience, professionally and personally, how could a man go from someone who's disconnected, incapable of feeling, incapable of not only loving or giving love, but also to
Mm,
receive love,
mm,
to someone who is open
mm,
to put himself out there fully,
mm, mm.
100%? How?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the very first and most important step is just to recognize where I am blocked, where I am struggling. In other words, to stop putting blame on the other person, because usually that's what we do when things aren't going well. And I did this. I had an epic conversation when I was 26,
Mm.
27, with a woman in France whom I had just married, whom I barely knew. But again, I was so disconnected from my body that I met a woman and I married her 5 weeks later in France. And, on the night of our wedding, something in me said, don't do this. Don't do this. But I was like, shut up. I want to do this. So I did it. And it was, I call it my catastrophe spectaculaire. It's my spectacular catastrophe. 8 months of this just awful marriage. But we had our honeymoon in Mallorca, Spain. And I remember there was this moment where we were in our rental car driving up this beautiful, it was Christmas time. And so it was a little cold and wintry evening in Mallorca, Spain. And we were driving up this mesa, up to this monastery that lived on top of this mountain. And so we're winding around this mountain and we're in the car arguing about love. Each of us making claim to some definition of love that the other should accept. I know what love is. You don't know what love is, that conversation. And, in retrospect, we were both just completely ignorant. We had no idea what we were talking about, but we were both hurting. We weren't getting what we wanted. We weren't getting our needs met. We didn't even know what our needs were. We
Wow,
were
that's
both
nice
basically,
reflection. Yeah.
we were both turning the other person into mommy and daddy, not having any clue what was going on. And from that place, just, demanding the other person do it my way. And, I remember at the top of that by that monastery, we're kind of, she gets out of the car and she's walking around the monastery and I'm 10 feet behind her. She would walk fast. It's one of the things that bothered me. She wouldn't walk with me. And you need to walk with me. I'm your husband. You're supposed to walk with me. Anyway, she would walk ahead of me and no wonder I'm not being very kind to her. If I were her, I wouldn't have wanted to walk with me either. But I'm 10 feet behind her and I'm kind of, shouting things about what she needs to do to love me better. And she's probably doing the same. I don't really remember at this point. Or maybe she was more just quiet. And then we got back in the car and she sat there and just said, you know what, let's just go. I'm done. Let's just
Wow.
go. And I remember I was in the driver's seat. And as I was sitting there, I knew that if I started the car and drove away in this sort of angry state, our marriage was over. I wasn't ready for that. And I remember just sitting there in that moment, like my refusal to let this be the end moment, something in me broke open. In that moment, I resolved to start learning what the hell was I doing that wasn't helping, that wasn't serving. I resolved in that moment. I mean, in that moment, it was sort of it was this kind of the beginning of my journey in doing relationship intentionally and taking my 100% of responsibility. And the way that I resolved in that moment was, okay, I am going to be the most unconditionally loving husband. I'm just going to, bury all my needs even more. Anything that I think I want or need, I'm just going to bury it, and I'm going to do everything that I can to show up for her. Look, that's not a successful formula either. But it was a major overcorrection from what I had been doing. Right? So, but that was the beginning of my own journey to, okay, maybe I'm the problem here. So that's the first step. We got to take responsibility. And if we don't know what responsibility to take, then we need to start looking, get help.
Tough place to start with, because most men, correct me if I'm wrong, they wouldn't recognize it even if it were in their right in their faces. How could we as a society, or as women in their lives, or as their peers or their families, could help them at least to start from somewhere, to recognize that, dude, you need help?
The great tragedy in all this is that it's not the role of our intimate partners to play, to hold us accountable, to show us our shit, if you will, to help us basically grow into adults. It's not the role of our intimate partners, but because so few of us men are intentionally, thoughtfully initiated into a manhood by wise elder men, whether it's our fathers, our uncles, or just, men in the community, because we're not initiated into a manhood, which ideally would happen in our teens. Because when we're initiated into manhood, the threshold between adolescence and manhood is we learn to take responsibility. Adolescents don't take responsibility. Adolescents are just out for the adventure. Man or woman, in our adolescent mind, we're not ready to hold a community in our arms as adolescents. As adolescents, we're still figuring out who we are. And so, unfortunately, boys stay adolescent, and that adolescent psychology, even as their bodies become men, our psychology stays very adolescent, and we won't take responsibility. There was a beautiful quote in this book, King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, that I read years and years ago. It's one of those foundational books that anyone interested in men's work should read, King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. And there was this quote in there that I'll never forget. And it said, as adults, we take responsibility even for that which we are not responsible.
Wow, such a true
we take responsibility even for that which we are not responsible.
Yeah.
That's profound. That's really profound. I mean, that's how we hold a community. That's how we hold a people, whether it's our family or whether it's our country. That's how we hold them safe, by taking responsibility even for that which we are not responsible. Yeah. And as adolescents, we don't do that. Well, why would I take responsibility for that which I'm not responsible? I'm just trying to figure out who I am. How the hell can I hold a community or hold a relationship or hold a family when I'm just trying to do me? And so it is a tragedy, though, because I mean, this is the lot of many men, is that our fathers, they weren't initiated either. We have adolescents raising adolescents. So there's no adults in the room. And it falls then onto the burden of our intimate relationships, of our partners, to say no I will not tolerate this adolescent behavior from you. I will not allow myself, and this isn't a punishment, I'm not encouraging partners to punish their men or to, get them to see something that they can't see. It's really what I'm always, when I'm when I'm coaching women in particular, or just, offering a sympathetic ear to usually a woman who's really in pain because she's with a man or has been with men who, again, don't want to take responsibility for their 100% or for any of their percent, even their 50. What I'm often counseling partners of men who are stuck in that adolescent mind to do. And I have been for much of my life. I didn't have any male elders initiating me either. It fell on to my intimate partners to do the same. And, but it's to say no to that mindset in a man that refuses to take responsibility. I mean, women have their work to do as well.
Amen.
That's their 100%. But too much. But men, we've been getting away with too much for too long. And I mean, again, look at what's happening in my country. Today in the United States. What happened yesterday is, again, the culmination of men, especially, enabling other men to continue doing bad things that don't serve the whole community, that just serve themselves, right? Or a very limited part of the community. And I mean, this is what happens if now I'm also a huge proponent of, I think all men should be regularly gathering with other men in men's groups and doing men's work together.
Yeah.
Because to relieve the burden on our intimate relationships of this type of growth and accountability. And because again, it's in a way, only men can hold other men accountable.
But I just would like to add something to that, is being around men who are a bit more mature, emotionally matured, or maybe emotionally on another level. Because if all men gathered on the same, I don't know how to put it into the right statement, but let's say that men are not owning their role and their part or their responsibilities in a relationship, and they just gather, then really there will be no solution.
Well, of course. And men gather in this way already, and they're usually gathering to watch sports or drink alcohol or chase women.
And pay cards.
Exactly. So what I'm pointing at is intentionally doing men's work together in all the ways that may. I mean, there's all kinds of more and more. I mean, I know it's hard. It's actually hard for most guys to find this because I'm in that world. So for me, it's everywhere. But I know for the vast majority of men, it's nowhere. So anyway, I want to just pause there, take a breath. Yeah. Yeah. And you work with men, Ray.
I do.
Yeah. And I think also there's great value in men working with women that are not our intimate partner or our mothers or our sisters or just a friend. There's great value in that because we can for a lot of men, we don't feel safe around other men, actually. We may think we do, but what we were really doing is we're putting on facades of invincibility, masks of invincibility. And because we don't trust other men to be vulnerable, to really allow men in to see what the mess, again, the messiness that I'm going through. Better to just say, nah, I'm good, man. I'm good. I got me, I got me. I don't need anything. Rather than, man, I'm a fucking mess. I'm hurting in my relationship. I'm hurting. I don't know what my wife wants from me. I don't know what my kids want from me. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here. I'm scared. I'm afraid I'm going to lose the house, or whatever the struggle is, or just, hey man, I have everything that I thought I ever wanted. And you know what? I'm miserable. I don't know what's happening. Like, we men don't have those kind of conversations with each other, and we need to.
100%. I agree 100%. And I always say that like I lost my dad to suicide 10 years ago. And I always say if my dad had the right space to let go and just speak about what was going on, like really what was going on, I would believe that he would have gotten the right help he needed back then, instead of just being there in a very, I would call it now, hurt character or hurt image, but back then it felt a bit deceiving. Like, why would you want to show up as a positive person and encourage your family to be positive, life is good, everything is okay, and then the day after that, you just hang yourself because you were in pain and because you were hurt and because it was too much for you to carry. So that was a very like a wake up call for me that made me see things differently. Oh, men have emotions. Oh, wait a second, men have problems. So what would be the most like, I know what would the common fears be, but what would the biggest ones that men have in relationships?
Well, I think one of the biggest misunderstandings, let's say, that men have in relationship is we tend to treat relationship as though it is an ongoing set of problems we're supposed to solve.
Oh, wow.
So things are great at the beginning because, hormones are firing.
Honeymoon phase.
It's honeymoon phase. It's fresh. It's interesting. It's new. It's an adventure.
Yeah.
It's an adventure. We're off on a new adventure, and that's always exciting. And then, then our boat hits an iceberg on this adventure. And we go, oh shit, there's an iceberg, and we tend to want to say, oh my God, this woman, she has problems. And, I know we're speaking heterosexually here, so we'll stay with that. She has, oh God, she's this or she's that. And, or maybe she's upset about something or something, just, whatever differences arise, as differences will arise between two humans. That's inevitable. And then all of a sudden, what our brain goes into, problem, got to solve it, fix it. Something's wrong, need to fix it. Again, I'm speaking very generically. I mean, this isn't going to be every man's situation, but
well, I'm laughing because I can see a lot of,
It's common. It's common.
I can put names into what you're saying. So
totally, yeah. I mean, I've had so many men in coaching just tell me, I'm a fix-it guy, Bryan. I'm a fix-it guy. I'm a fix-it. It's what I do. Yeah, well, okay, maybe you're good at solving problems in your engineering job, but that's not really going to serve you in your intimate relationship.
Yeah.
So let's work with that identity a little bit. But that's the biggest misunderstanding, because intimate relationship is not a business contract. It's not you're not athletic players on a field trying to get a ball into a net together. That's not the point of intimacy. You're not trying to invent the next iPhone together. It's not a business proposition or a science proposition or No, the intimacy relationship is a dance of masculine and feminine energies. It's why we don't just marry our best buddy. You know, we don't want to have sex with our best buddy. No, I think long term our relationship should evolve into what I can't remember who coined this term. Might have been Harville Hendricks. I don't remember who coined this term, but I think it should evolve into a passionate friendship.
Wow.
But you know, I'm not gonna.
I like that. Passionate friendship.
Yeah,
I like that.
passionate friendship.
Yeah.
But
So I love it. Wow. Okay. Because I've always
yeah,
said that a relationship has to be passionate, has to be compassionate, and
yeah,
compatible between both. Like I know why I'm here for, and you know why you're there. And if anything came to confuse us, we'll figure it out. But
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I like that.
And that's not my term. I can't remember who gifted that to me, but passionate friendship. And if we think about the word passion, the root of the word passion means to suffer. You know, compassion, you brought up compassion, is to suffer with.
Oh wow.
And passion is a form of suffering. I mean, when we're passionate about something, there's something we want to exist, to have, to experience. And the reason we're so passionate, and we don't have it yet. We don't, you know, there's a suffering in the longing for what is not in our hands. This is one of the great challenges of relationship is we long for something and we love the longing. We're living. I had this epiphany just a few years ago in my relationship. I finally have everything I ever thought that I wanted. And all of a sudden, a new problem presented itself. How do I just enjoy it now?
Oh,
Holy shit. Because I had been living for so long in the longing for what I don't yet have. No one ever taught me how to live in the simple enjoyment of what is. You know, there's a lot of kind of spiritual practices and teachers and different things out there that will help us in that direction, but nobody had ever really, certainly never mastered that. And so this suffering with, you know, this passion, learning to be with what is, and not just be with it, but enjoy it, enjoy the suffering with another person. I mean, it sounds kind of morbid, but in a sense, like what I did at the very beginning of our conversation, I realized there's a lot of emotion that's alive for me right now. And, you know, rather than just start our conversation with, let's talk problems and solutions, which we could easily have done. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners would have really enjoyed that. It's the temptation of many a man. Let's problem solution. But that is such a denial to my own humanity and yours, really, about what's really alive in the room right now. You know, there's pain, there's suffering, there's hurt. And even as I was expressing it, Ray, I didn't even realize, I almost started to tear up and started to cry. I didn't realize I felt that passionate about what was going on. And I think, you know, for me, it was a beautiful moment of connection with you and the sharing of that feeling moment of, wow, just sitting in that. And how was that for you? I'm curious.
Well, my heart started beating so fast, and I got this. For some reason, all I wanted to do is just sit there, hold your hand, and let you be in peace. I got this feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I could feel it. I could really, really feel it. And just seconds before you asked me how my heart was doing, I was truly grateful that you felt safe to share.
Yeah.
So thank
you. And you had wanted, I remember you wanted to offer me a hug. You wanted to extend and offer me a hug.
Yeah.
And I think that's very And I wasn't sharing what I was sharing. I wasn't trying to get anything from you. I mean, you're on the other side of the damn planet. I couldn't get that hug from you if so I was sharing because that was just what was really true for me in the moment. And it was about my experience and my feelings and my hurt but there was also excitement. There was a lot of stuff. There was a lot of stuff present. It wasn't just one emotion. There was a lot going on. And in the sharing of that, you leaned into me. And this is what I think a lot of men, we miss the opportunity in our relationships. We want our partner, well, it's complicated. We want to bring our partner closer, but what happens for us men is because she wants to come closer, but then, oh shit, we don't know. Uh-oh, what did I just do? I don't know how to handle this. She's close, and what's she doing? What does she want from me? I don't understand what she wants from me. We freak out in all kinds of ways, and then we, back off. We all the different ways we might communicate. Back off, and she backs off, and then we're like, whoa, 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 where are you going? Where are you going? Don't back off. Come back. And that's the dilemma.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, 100%.
It's
Yeah.
all there is to do. I mean, we should laugh at it because it's ridiculous. It's utterly an absurd dance
But
that
it's
we
one
do.
of those situations where you really don't know, or I speak for myself, should we cry or should we laugh? Because when that happens, the way I see it as a woman, that a man deserves to be loved, deserves to be cared for, deserve to be listened to, listened to. I remember I had someone to just book a session with me just for me to listen to him. He said, I've been waiting for a year for someone to offer me his ear. All I want to say is, and he
Yeah.
kept going. But when a man comes and feels that he is undeserving of this love or undeserving of this care because no, 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 I'm okay, I'm all right.
Yeah.
But you want to respect his wish. All right, so you're not ready. You want me to stay away? I'm going to stay away,
Mhm.
but take care of yourself. And then you see him not taking care of himself. And then it's a
Yeah.
cycle going
Yeah.
on and
Yeah.
on and on.
Yeah.
How can we break that cycle? I know that there has to be recognition at the beginning, but let's assume that the man recognizes his pain or his, I
Yeah.
don't know how to put, I don't want to say toxic because it's not toxic.
I like to use the language, it doesn't serve.
It doesn't serve. Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
It just
yeah,
doesn't serve.
yeah.
I think, if men take away anything from our conversation, right? Because these are big questions. They're important questions, and the answers, they're complex. There are challenges. There are very real challenges to working through these things, and not one specific way of doing it is going to work for every man.
Yeah.
If there's one thing that men take away from this, it's just be willing to get help with somebody, and because this is the great challenge. I mean, I've faced this challenge. Even still, the part of me that's like, nah, I can do it by myself. I got this. I can figure this out. That's our problem solving mentality, that if I'm a fix it guy, if I can fix it, if I can solve it by myself, that means I'm amazing. I'm a good man.
So tell me more. How is it now with you and Sylvia, right?
Sylvie.
Sylvie. Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you keep the balance, especially from someone disconnected to someone connected? How did you make it work?
Well, we both do our own work. We both take 100% responsibility for what is ours to take responsibility for, which means, she sees a therapist. She is a therapist. She sees a therapist regularly. Ever since we've been together, she's seen a therapist almost weekly. She has her girlfriends that she can speak to, so she doesn't have to bring everything to me. So her therapy, her friends, like, she has outlets where she can go. And likewise, so do I. I have worked with coaches. Right now I'm working with a therapist myself. I also am in 2 men's groups, and I host my own men's group, an international men's group. So I'm so deeply involved in doing my own work as well. You know, one of the great tragedies of the modern age is that and this is, you know, I'm speaking more to Western culture right now. It may not be like, it's not like this for every culture around the world, but you know, when two people come together to do intimate relationship, that's kind of the beginning of a two-person village. It's going to do my two-person village. You know, maybe the in-laws are around us. You know, there might be brothers and sisters and in-laws, but you know, and maybe if we invite them in, they're really intrusive. They're either intrusive or they're not helpful, or again, because, you know, so many of our elders they're still in their adolescent minds as well.
Yeah.
So we're trying to do these two-person villages. Maybe we have a couple kids, so maybe it's a four-person village, but we're so not supposed to be two-person villages. And that, you know, we're not supposed to be everything for our partner. Not at all. That's another great misunderstanding, that we burden relationships with the responsibility to be everything I need out of life. I need you, one person, to be everything that I need out of life. And that's a disaster. It's not going to work that way. So, you know, Sylvie and I, we deeply recognize the need for both our extended community, our village, but also our support. You know, both of us are willing, not just willing, but we're actively in the practice of we have other outlets, therapists, coaches, trusted friends that we can go to work some shit out, get some clarity around things, rather than just, you know, what I did for the first, you know, 20 years of my adulthood, Ray, in doing relationship, was I either just swallow whatever I'm upset about, or I vomit it onto my partner and expect them to fix it, to do something about it. Yeah, you can relate. What a shitty way to do relationship.
I had an
What's that?
ex-friend. He used to tell me that you have the power to ruin me in 5 minutes, and on the sixth, pretend that nothing has happened.
Gosh, yeah.
And I was like, what? That was a very painful moment for me, because I realized how I could be really, just like you said, vomiting everything. And then I was like, all right, so what are we going to do tonight?
Yeah. So, I think that's the one takeaway that I want our listeners. I mean, I think we've had a beautiful conversation, but I think that takeaway: be willing to get, and we don't have to use the word help, just get support. We are not supposed to figure this shit out alone. We're not supposed to figure it out. We can't figure it out alone. I mean, we want to talk about relationship and how to do relationship well. Well, that's a relational conversation. We have to be in relationship in order to learn that, and not just relationship with just our intimate partner, but to be in relationship with other people who don't have a vested interest in what happens in that intimate relationship. I mean, that's the real gift of working with a coach, working with a therapist, you know, doing we're working with your men's group, and not just your buddies who have your back at all costs, you know, the guys who would kill for you. I'm not talking about those guys. I mean, yes, I am talking about those guys, but I mean the guys that will look at you and say, you know what, man, you're lying to your wife right now, and I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I am going to tell you that that's not going to work for you. That's not going to end well for you. It's not even going well for you now. It's costing you something, right? I mean, we need to have those, because we just, if we do it ourselves, our own crazy minds will convince us of anything we want to be convinced of. So working with someone to get out of our own way is vital if we are going to learn how to do relationship well.
Thank you, Bryan. Thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you, Ray.
Anything else you'd like to add? I think that conversation really took an exciting and enlightening direction. I did not expect, to be honest, I did not expect this episode to be like that, but I'm like, I think you could see it from my face. I literally feel like we have said a lot of things. You have shared a lot of things. These, the unsaid, the things that you did not say, I was, I don't know about the listeners, but I was able to listen to them. I got a
Thank you.
lot of insights. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. No, yeah, I likewise really appreciate the space that you've created, the questions that you asked to start this conversation, to lead us in the direction of heart. And I want to encourage listeners to reach out to you, Ray, for support. Reach out to me. You can find me on my website is bryanreeves.com. Bryan with a Y, Reeves.com. Yeah, that's important to me because my sister, 20 years ago, when I was going off to college, my sister wrote me a beautiful letter. She was younger. She was staying at home and, saying she's going to miss me, but she spelled my name Brian. She spelled my name wrong. My own sister. I love her. But come on, sis. So when I got to college, I started introducing myself as I'm Bryan with a Y, and everybody needs to know it. Bryan with a Y, Bryan with a Y. So that started 26 years ago, more. Bryan with a Y.
So you're the male version of Sarah with an H.
Totally. There's all kinds of, my part, Sylvie, she's Sylvie. Everyone spells her name wrong. They switch the I and the Y. Okay. So bryanreeves.com. I'm hosting men's work. I'm hosting a program right starting in a few weeks, a program called Elevate 2021. We've got 3 spots left. It's for 10 men, an entire year's journey, coaching journey.
So tell us more about that if you want.
Yeah. Well, I've been wanting to do this for a number of years, and Elevate 2021. It's a really comprehensive. It's men coming together. There's 10 of us coming together, doing work for an entire year, including an in-person retreat in the United States in August. And there is just so much power in men coming together in group, to do deep work with each other. It's just the most beautiful thing. It's, we men, we need to learn how to do conflict well. We need to learn how to, hold each other up through just the trials and tribulations of our lives. We need places where we can vent to other men, certainly not to our partners, and sometimes men don't have any place at all to vent, to just get the shit that's on their chest off. Like you said, you had that man that just wanted to do a session with you and just listen. Yeah. So, Elevate 2021, it's on my website, bryanreeves.com/elevate. Again, we've only got 3 spots left it's an entire year's journey all throughout 2021. We're going to have almost daily access to each other. And this is one of the most exciting things that I've ever done for men. So I'm doing this because I need it also. So I'm really excited about this. And if you're listening and, finding a group, or that doesn't quite ring true, or you're not ready you don't want to work with a man just yet, you contact Ray. What's your website, Ray? Let's let our listeners, where can they find you?
Raise Your Mental Health.
Say it again.
My website is Raise Your Mental Health. I can be found on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, right. You didn't see that question coming either, did you? How many guests ask you to promote?
Today you did 2 new things for me that I was really not like, what do I do? So thank you. I appreciate you for that.
You're welcome. You. Hey, we need armies of coaches, therapists, like, especially after this year, after 2020, which feels like 2020 feels like it's going to last about another 6 months or so. Like, we need an army. There is a revolution coming in there's a major crisis coming first in mental health
Yeah.
challenges, and people taking stock, looking at their lives going, man, this shit ain't working. I need to do something different. And I don't know even where to begin. So, we need armies of us
Yeah.
serving and continuing to do our own work as well.
I love you for that. Thank you, Bryan. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you again. Thank you.
My honor.
And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.